In this video, I'll be explaining why I don't think history and difficulty are good enough reasons to award a level that wouldn't be rated under other circumstances. If you enjoy the video, consider subscribing as it helps out my channel. Enjoy the video. In the past, I've made 2 videos about extreme demons that were questionable about whether or not they should be rated. I'm of course talking about Silent Club and Sakupen Circles. In the comments, of the people who believe that they should be rated, a good portion of them said that it had something to do with what I'm now discussing. They believe that outstandingly difficult levels should always be rated no matter what, as they need to be given a star due to their history and community significance, and that to not rate them would devalue the accomplishments of their verifiers and the weeks of grinding that were put into raising the bar of difficulty once more. And so today I'll be going over every argument I've received on the matter and sort of picking them apart, giving my own takes and or rebuttals from the perspective of someone who disagrees with the notion that history makes a level rate-worthy. I've left timestamps in the description to each and every point I'll be addressing. If there's a point that I've missed, be sure to tell me in the comments. With that being said, let's jump straight into the first one. The first thing people say when a substandard top 1 gets verified is somehow a momentous accomplishment and needs to be endorsed by the developer. I could understand this logic for a level like Bloodbath or Cataclysm, but 1, these are good enough levels that, taken at face value, they're still feature-worthy. And 2, when talking about more recently beaten impossible levels, this at times simply isn't true. Back in 1.9, a new hardest demon may have been a monumental occasion, but with the oversaturation of extreme demons nowadays, completions like these are so common, they border on the mundane. A cycle of someone making an impossible level in 1.9, someone beating it a few years later, then that level getting rated isn't exactly exceptional at this point. And so for a lot of the top ones with questionable rates, you can't really make the case that these are major events in GD history. I'd also like to point out that even if a verification is as important as you say it is, that in itself is not a good reason for a star rating. Even when everyone agrees that a new hardest demon has atrocious gameplay and outdated decoration, a large portion of the community believes that it should be rated anyway due to its so-called history. This was especially prevalent in the Silent Club debate. However, I'd like to reiterate my earlier point that we need to be more careful with how loosely we're using the term historic for any top 1 demon. A lot of these levels don't have a single history video made about them, and even if they do, may I remind you that an entire 12-minute video was made on the history of Karma L block speedruns. As for levels that truly are major milestones, there are still better ways of going about this than demanding that subpar levels get put in the awarded section. Standout demons like Bloodbath and Ice Carbon Diablo X were good, or at least good enough for their time, and so they could be rated. However, something from that time that was too difficult to verify until now, unfortunately, isn't good enough. Regardless of a level's history, the things that determine its rateability are gameplay and decoration. Luckily for you though, if you still want to see it placed on the demons list, all you have to do is take this level and turn it into something actually rate-worthy. Sonic Wave was remade twice while it was being beaten. While the person who would go on to verify it would do so on the original version, the rate would be much more deserved if he had done so on one of the redecorated copies. Silent Club Step was rebuilt so the person who finally defeated this beast of the level wouldn't have to upload an ugly 1.8 demon. And while I don't think this new deco is great, it's at least feature-worthy. As for Sakupen Circles, well, they tried, but the level's god-awful gameplay doomed it from the start. My point is, if the level you care about really is as substantially difficult as you say it is, there should be more than enough time to make a quality redecoration, as this can ensure your project's legacy and save you from a whole lot of drama. If you don't do this for your level, don't expect it to be rated. This goes beyond just the history of a level and points out a more practical issue. The Pointer Crate Demon list requires levels to be rated in order to place them on their list, and so, if a level doesn't get rated, list grinders can't get list points from them, and then won't be motivated to grind extreme demons anymore. However, this is overall a weak argument due to 2 fundamental problems. First of all, the demons list isn't even an official part of GD. It doesn't make sense that RobTop should be pressured into rating bad levels all because of a website that he has never endorsed. As much in the community's mind as the Demon List is, at the end of the day it's just an unofficial fan-made website listing difficult levels. Second, there's nothing stopping the Demon List team from straight up saying that a level doesn't have to be rated to be placed on the list. As I said, this isn't a server-side thing, meaning whoever's in charge isn't bound by quality standards and can decide their own requirements on which levels can and can't be on the list. Overall, this argument doesn't mean that hard levels are required to be rated because the Demon List is unofficial and doesn't have to use star rating as a requirement. Thus, a very difficult level being verified doesn't need to be rated. Some people think that extreme demons need to be rated, otherwise players won't get their starbs, orbs, and faces. Apparently they don't realize that a lot of players use copyables for bug fixes and don't get those things either way. In addition to this being a pretty underwhelming prize for such a magnificent achievement, it doesn't seem like RobTop really rates hard levels due to wanting to reward players. Arguably, the first bad level that was rated due to history was Sonic Wave, a classic 9 circles level that was barely rate-worthy in 1.9, let alone in 2.0. But RobTop went against his promise to not rate classic NC levels due to its importance to the community. Over 5 years and a major update to the game have passed since then, so if RobTop decided there was a problem with the need for a more substantial award to those who grind extreme demons, he had ample time to do something about it. However, he didn't. Whether this is because he thought the Demon List was enough or because he simply didn't feel like it is unknown. But if this really mattered to him, he would have introduced a new feature to address it in 2.1 or announced it for 2.2. As a hypothetical, very difficult levels that aren't good enough to be rated could be given a new extreme rating that wouldn't award creator points, but extreme levels and extreme demons could give players new stats. Sort of like list points, but to work with the original game. Any alternative to rating these levels should be implemented to acknowledge a player's achievement without giving them creator points for a player's accomplishment.
She's in love with the concept.
This is the final argument I'll be covering, as while other ones do exist, these either don't have any substance to them, or end up being obnoxious or belittling. Even this one I don't really understand. It seems to suggest that we should give up any possibility of RobTop having decent rating standards just because he's rated bad levels in the past. This argument is really more reason not to rate these levels, as it sets a bad precedent, which leads to a deadly cycle of worse and worse levels getting given a star until RobTop abandons any sort of restraint and just rates whatever he feels like. Comical Depression got rated, so Thinking Space should be rated. Thinking Space was rated, so XO should get rated. XO got rated, so yeah. You see where I'm going with this. It's not too late to reverse this trend if RobTop wants to. He can stop rating these bad levels and possibly revoke undue rates he gave out in the past. Additionally, just because RobTop decides to rate a level doesn't mean that God has spoken and no one is ever allowed to complain about it again. So stop saying that in my comments section. So those are my responses to a lot of the arguments for certain levels getting rated that I felt justified a section in this video. I hope I've explained why I feel like these aren't good enough reasons to rate levels, and if I've missed anything or you disagree with my rebuttals, be sure to tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content, such as my video on whether or not Silent Club should be rated, or why fireworks should be featured. Thanks for watching.